What's this? Another episode that doesn't have a 6 week break in between all of it? I gotta say, I am on a smooth piece of bread, or a roll, as some of you call it. Um, so I promise I won't discuss squirting in this episode. Um, promise I won't talk about any super uncomfortable racists in this episode. I'm going to be talking about something a little bit worse. Some crazy females. Now, not all females are crazy, but um, no, just kidding. Anyway, so I'm gonna talk today about, um, in particular. Now, I'm only saying they were crazy because I was the only guy in my class of 80 women. So 90% of them were cool. 10% of them were crackheads, and about 5% of them were bad at math. So that's uh, that's the way it is. So, back in 2019, um, we're talking like peak Trump presidential years. Um, I decided to go back to school. Now, before I went back to school, like literally 6 months before that, I was working at a church as a summer student. What can you do in a church? Well, you can paint floors for 6 weeks. That's what I did. Before that, I was working on a dairy farm, and before that, I attempted to be a plumber on and off for like 8 years. So, anyways, um, eventually, my mom was like, "Hey, Zeddy, you should go into nursing." I'm like, "Why would I go into nursing? Because you will never be short of work." And well, she's right. Um, so, anyways, I applied to nursing school, and I was put on a 2 year wait list, and I was living in a province that was not my province. And I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna be in this wait list forever. But I have my native status, and I checked off a little box that says Indigenous. And after I was put on the wait list, not 2 days later, they reached out. They said I had a spot for me. So hooray for affirmative action! I got or whatever you call it, diversity quotas or something. Anyway, point being, I got accepted in the school immediately. So kids, if you have native status, life is pretty good. So anyways, I applied. I got in immediately. Um, my teacher called me, and she was like, "Hey, you nervous about anything?" I'm like, "Well, am I the only guy?" And she was like, "Well, I don't think, but I was the only guy that graduated, so we'll put it at that." And yeah, so I got into school, and I was mortified because I was like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna have to remember how to do math," and I haven't done math in like 10 years, and I haven't done math good or well in like 15 years because high school math was. That's another episode for another time where my teachers thought I was mentally challenged. Anyways, so that begun my journey with going to nursing school. So um, I thought when I went into the nursing program, I get a little tour of the building. I went to like little tiny labs with like a dozen people that could sit in each lab. I thought that's what the nursing class was going to be, but no. I got brought in this big amphitheater with like 80 other women. Um, Now, I know there's a stereotype of all nurses are attractive and equally crazy, and you know what? Those rumors are actually 100% true. Um, but yeah, they're all crazy, but not like slash your tires crazy, but like crazy in different and wild ways. I'll talk to you about a few of them. Now, there's this one girl named Hannah. She's she's actually a good friend of mine. I send her the dankest memes quite regularly, and she's my fitness cheerleader. She'll be like, I'll text her and I'll say, hey, I squatted 250 today, and she's like, dang boy, your wife's gonna give it to you tonight, and I'm like, sweet. So yeah, she's a good friend, and she's my fitness cheerleader. Um, then there's Tyra. Um, no one embodies more of trailer trash than her. A few other girls. There's Meg, my ginger princess. Emily, my the girl with that, like, she was the cool video game girl. There's Meredith. We call her the Barbie. There was Sherry, the MILF princess, and there was Nicole, the lady that liked to sell pyramid scheme crap constantly. Those were um, those were the big ones. And then there was I think his name was Louis. I forget his name. He was the Hispanic fella. He was a cool fella, but like I think he got in trouble because his OnlyFans leaked, and he did not hold back because some of the girls busted it out or something. I don't know if it was his OnlyFans, his Instagram, but man, I don't know if COVID spread fast, but his cheeks sure did. It was yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, good for him. Work it, honey. Get those bags, I guess. But anyways, so we did the nursing suit, like we went through the normal nursing classes. So like year one was like your anatomy and physiology, all of your classwork, and then there's your pathophysiology and a bunch of other, there's a couple nonsense courses like communications, like it's not that hard to communicate. So one of the first things you have to do when you're in nursing school is you have to learn how to properly clean somebody, like give them a sponge bath or do anything like that, and learn how to make a bed. I kid you not. So before you're allowed to go onto your clinical, which basically means you're allowed to go onto the job site and learn, you have to pass your lab work. And your lab work in this case was you had to give a mannequin a bath and you had to change the mannequin's bed. I kid you not, that failed out 20 of our students, like instantly. 20 people did not how to make make a bed. They didn't know how to wash their hands before they did anything. And there was like when you're doing the lab work, you have to make sure the bed rails go up and down on your patient, and some people just couldn't handle that. Now Tyra, God love her, God bless her soul. She's still alive. She's just, I don't know. She could have a venereal disease. That's kind of, no. I'm just kidding. Tyra, you cool? You don't have any VDs. Um, she she made it through on the skin of her teeth. I think she wanted to end up going back to school to become a full RN. I don't know if she's done it or not, but I hope she has. She was cool, but she said some wild stuff in school. Like I remember one time one of the things she said was she she said, "Hey, meth isn't that bad of a drug." So imagine us in class, and there is one nursing student who's saying meth isn't a bad drug. I mean, we're in New Brunswick, and I mean St. John. It's a pretty messed up city. So I don't know. She was a party girl. Then there was Meg. Meg was quiet, but she was a ginger. So that's all I need to explain why I remembered her. Um, there was now Emily. She was she was pretty cool, but I remember one time in our class, she man, something in my throat. We were all taking notes in our class, and like it's theater style seating. And I remember one time she stood up, she stood in front of my computer, and her booty knocked my computer onto the floor, and it broke. So that If you don't like dealing with Staples customer service, then it was an absolute nightmare. And there was just one other girl. Her name is Serena. Now, if you've ever been to a Pride parade, which I'm sure many of you have, Serena would be the type of girl that would be at the front of the line in like full on head to toe cosplay. Now, if you don't know what cosplay is, it's what a loser does for fun. You dress up in an anime character. You don't bathe for like a good 6 to 8 weeks, and then you go ooh ooh when you're walking around. She was the weirdest, stinkiest looking, freakiest girl I've ever met. She was fun though. Like she liked video games, and we talked about that. But she was she was a little weird. Um, but she had like a really super obsessed. By the way, I'm not using anybody's real names, just except for Hannah. I'm using Hannah's real name, but anyone else, I'm not using their real name. Hannah actually listens to this podcast once in a while. So, what up, Hannah? Um, Now, Serena, not Serena, Saritha. So, Saritha, she was like weirdly obsessed with foxes to the point where one time a wild fox got on the campus and she started crying when she saw it. Um, Saritha, she was really weird and socially awkward, and so was her fiance. She called him her husband, but she's like one of those people that calls their partners their husbands, even though they're not married, because I guess that's a cool thing to do these days, not get married and call someone your husband. And she talked about how she was abstaining until she graduated nursing school. And I'm like, you're abstaining? Like, that's a weird thing to do. And the other girls were like, no, it's not. I'm like, well, a little bit. I mean, if you're going to have to put up with someone cosplaying, you got to put out or something once in a while. So, anyways, she talked about that. And she also talked to me about her cycles. And she talked to me about her cycles regularly. And it was, I almost threw up like 10 times. She would come up to me, was like, yeah, I'm on my cycle right now. I'm like, oh my jeez. Um, and her husband was really weird. Like one time we had like a study night at her house, and her husband, he just sat there making dolphin noises. He was like, like that's what he did the entire night. Like I don't know if he was mentally challenged or what, but that's the way it was. Um, Now, like I said earlier, when we got to our lab finals, everybody failed. We had some really um, kind of super strict teachers. One of the teachers, her name was Betsy. She was very, very good. She knew all of her stuff, but she would fail you at like the drop of a pin. Um, but it was good because she got rid of a lot of the people who didn't want to do their work. She knew her stuff quite a bit. There was Lisa, Bernard, and Olivia. Olivia was the young blonde that Hannah was obsessed with her booty. Um, there was uh, there's Bernard, the one male nurse instructor that going online courses, he forgot to wear pants and his drawers were dropped down. He didn't notice. But he was cool. We talked. My opinion on someone is entirely based on whether or not they like video games. So if you don't like video games and you listen to this, you're a dick. Um, Now, when we went on to our clinical in January, this is January 2020. So you can kind of guess what was about to happen a couple months from then. I remember sitting in the lunchroom at our clinical, and one of the instructors was like, "You guys hear about this COVID thing?" And they're like, "Oh no, it's not going to come here." And then one of the instructors in the back is like, "It might. We got a lot of Asians here." And I was like, "All right, well maybe we do." Um, so yeah, um, We had one girl fail. I'm not going to say who it was, but we had one girl fail out of her clinical because she just didn't want to show up, and one girl drop out because her bowels just kind of completely gave out on her 1 week in the clinical, and she couldn't come back. She kept crapping her pants or something. And we had one girl fail clinical because she um, kind of, I don't know what she did. She like rage quit halfway through feeding a patient or something like that. Something along those lines. Ugh, man, coughing. Um, so yeah, and after that clinical, I'd say about 20 people total failed out, um, which kind of sucked, but I survived. And then comes March of 2020. And then the coolest thing ever happened. We had a pandemic that shut down literally everything on the planet except dollar stores and restaurants for some reason. Forget going to a funeral of your loved one. That's not allowed, but you can go to Dollarama and pick up some Doritos. That's or Dollar Tree, whatever you want to call it. So that's what happened there. Now, one thing that was horrible about nursing school was group projects. I had one group project where we had to do it was like we had to do an essay handed in, but like we had to contribute to it. I never got my essays handed in to me until the, like midnight the day before it was due, and so yeah, I almost failed that one course just because of my partner. So if you're ever in a group project, don't do it with your friends. Pick the smart ones. I actually did really good in nursing school. I got an award for having the top of my class, but again, it was during the COVID pandemic. I didn't have a graduation. I didn't have anybody watching me. The only thing I got was I got to go pick up my certificate in a parking lot at a different community college with a frame that said highest academic standing. So that was that. Now, during um, COVID and all that, we had all of our exams done virtually. And this was before everybody had, like, now if you do a virtual exam, there's going to be things that monitor you, like while you're doing your exam, and like they can tell if somebody walks into the room. No, we had none of that. We didn't even have a camera set up on us. So, long story short, one of my instructors got her entire exam from Quizlet. If you don't remember Quizlet, if you don't know what Quizlet is, it's basically an online practice quiz platform where you can like go online and like, hey, let's create a practice quiz for the blood flow of the heart. Bing bang boom, it's all up there. Now, what one of these teachers did is she got her entire quiz from Quizlet. She Googled heart flow exam and she copied and pasted it. You almost got to respect it, to be honest, but that's how it went. Um, so yeah, that's not much else to talk about that nursing school. I might talk about. I don't want to talk about some of my jobs I've done since then because I don't want to go too much personal detail about where I work or anything like that. Or, you don't want to talk about. I will absolutely never talk about a patient ever or a client ever because that is a dumb thing to do. I will only make fun of my classmates. Um, yeah, and also there was one time when we had to do one of our final lab works. We had to do a lab, like a lab project where like you have to measure someone's vitals and do an assessment on like, oh, someone's having trouble breathing. What do you do when you go in there? I'm like, oh, you assess their airway, you're breathing, you do yada yada. I did it to my son and I aced it, but I know one guy, he did a lab project video and he had a gold chain around his neck. And he failed his video because Betsy she failed him because there was a gold chain around his neck. So he got a 0 on his project because he was wearing a necklace. Um, but she didn't fail the crackheads in her class. So it was a little rough, and I want to continue on in my education, but I really hope there's not another pandemic. But you know what? I could go for another season of Tiger King. All right, that's it. See ya.